A single touch, lasting under 3 seconds, can release enough oxytocin in a woman's brain to create a sense of emotional connection that lingers for hours. This is not romantic exaggeration, it is grounded in neuroscience. Yet many men don't understand which kinds of touch stimulate that reaction, and which ones quietly push a woman away. There are 7 specific touches that can change everything, and one of them, number 5, is especially powerful. Here is a truth rarely stated outright: a mature woman isn't swayed by words alone. She has heard compliments, read thoughtful messages, and experienced carefully planned romantic gestures. Over time, words lose their impact. What actually moves her? What actually cracks open that guarded heart she has spent years protecting is something far more primal: touch. But not just any touch. It is not about awkward or overly familiar gestures inspired by movies. It is about deliberate and psychologically meaningful contact, touch that conveys safety, confidence, tenderness, and desire without a single word. Psychologist Dr. Dr. Keltner conducted this in a study where strangers communicated emotions only through brief touches on the forearm. Without speaking or using facial expressions, participants could correctly identify feelings like love, gratitude, and sympathy up to 78% of the time. That level of clarity is something words rarely achieve. This explains why some men naturally create a sense of connection, while others struggle despite saying all the right things. The difference is not in their language, it is in their physical presence and how they use touch. For a mature woman, someone who understands herself and her needs, this kind of communication resonates even more deeply. Before exploring all 7 touches, it is worth noting that 2 of them may seem almost too simple to matter. Don't overlook them. Many mature women say those subtle gestures evoke emotions they can't easily explain. And the final touch, number 7, is so impactful that therapists often recommend it to couples on the brink of separation. Let us start with the first touch that silently rewires how she feels about you. The first touch is what could be called the slow lower back guide. It might seem like basic courtesy, but there is more happening beneath the surface. Placing your hand gently on the small of a woman's back, whether guiding her through a doorway, navigating a crowd, or standing close beside her, activates an area rich in nerve endings connected to emotional processing in the brain. A calm, gentle, and warm touch in that spot bypasses rational analysis. However, the way it is done matters. A quick pat can feel impersonal, almost familial. Too much pressure can come across as controlling. But a slow, balanced, intentional touch communicates presence and awareness. This triggers what psychologists describe as a protective bonding response. Her nervous system interprets it as safety, prompting the release of oxytocin and creating a sense of calm associated with you. For a mature woman, this can be especially meaningful. She may be used to handling responsibilities on her own, being independent and self-reliant. In that context, such a gesture isn't about control, it is a quiet signal that she doesn't have to carry everything by herself in that moment. That simple act can feel more significant than grand romantic gestures. One mature woman described it this way: when a man placed his hand on her back as they entered a restaurant, she experienced a feeling she hadn't known in years, a sense of being chosen. That illustrates the subtle but powerful effect of this kind of touch when done with intention. The second touch is what can be called the two-handed handhold, and it is often overlooked despite how powerful it is. Holding hands by itself isn't unique, almost everyone does it. What makes this different is the way it's done. You take her hand and gently enclose it with both of yours. This might happen during a meaningful conversation, a quiet pause, or after she shares something personal. This works because of a concept known as bilateral stimulation. When both of your hands are engaged around hers, it creates balanced sensory input that the brain interprets as focused attention and emotional presence. In fact, similar forms of bilateral touch are used in EMDR therapy to help people process emotional trauma. So when you hold her hand this way, you are sending a clear, nonverbal message, that she is safe and that you are fully there with her. For a mature woman, this can have a profound effect. She may have spent years with men who were physically present but mentally elsewhere, distracted by work, devices, or other concerns. When you offer her your full attention through something as simple as this, it stands out. The contrast is what makes it so impactful. After experiencing lukewarm or divided attention for so long, the warmth and intention behind both of your hands holding hers can signal something different, something genuine. Once a mature woman perceives that difference, it can reshape how she sees you compared to others. The third touch is one that often catches most mature women off guard, the forehead touch. Not a kiss, but the simple act of gently resting your forehead against hers, close enough that your breathing naturally aligns and everything else fades into the background. It may seem small, but it carries significant emotional weight. Relationship researcher Dr. Sue Johnson has described bonding moments as brief interactions that activate deep attachment responses in adults, similar to how touch soothes infants. The forehead touch is a strong example of this. It requires closeness, stillness, and a willingness from both people to lower their guard. For a mature woman who has developed emotional defenses over time, this gesture can feel like a quiet invitation, one that doesn't demand or rush anything. It simply communicates presence and connection. A man who can stay in that moment without trying to break the tension or shift it into something else shows a level of emotional awareness that is often rare. The fourth touch involves the back of the neck. This area is especially sensitive and vulnerable, filled with nerve endings and difficult to see or guard. Because of that, contact there can create a mix of heightened awareness and trust. When done gently, perhaps while sitting close or leaning in to speak, it prompts an immediate internal check: does this feel safe, comfortable, and welcome? If the answer is yes, the response can be quick and noticeable, both emotionally and physically. This kind of touch can trigger a combination of chemicals in the brain associated with both pleasure and bonding. Experience plays a role here. A younger woman might not fully register the meaning behind it, but a mature woman with more life experience may recognize the balance it communicates: confidence without force, interest without pressure, and familiarity without assumption. That said, timing is critical. This isn't something appropriate at the very beginning of an interaction. It only works once trust and comfort are already established. Without that foundation, the gesture can feel intrusive rather than meaningful, and a mature woman will immediately recognize the difference. The fifth touch is the thumb stroke. It is simple but surprisingly powerful. When you're already in contact, holding her hand or resting your hand on her arm, shoulder, or knee, your thumb begins to move gently and slowly across her skin in small, steady motions. There's no announcement or obvious focus on it, it happens naturally while you continue talking. What makes this effective lies in how the body processes touch. Certain nerve fibers, known as C-tactile afferents, are specifically tuned to respond to slow, gentle stroking. These signals go directly to areas of the brain associated with emotional bonding and connection. Studies, including research from the University of Gothenburg, show that this kind of touch activates the insular cortex, the region linked to feelings of closeness and intimacy. In practical terms, that subtle thumb movement can quietly trigger a sense of emotional warmth and attachment. Because it's so understated, she may not consciously notice it, but her brain and body do. The result is a growing sense of comfort and attraction that can be hard to explain. What makes it especially impactful is how effortless it appears. To someone who has experienced shallow or inconsistent affection, this small, almost absent-minded gesture can feel genuine. It suggests that warmth and attentiveness come naturally to you, not as a performance but as part of who you are. The sixth touch is what can be called the silent pull. This happens when you are sitting or standing close, and without saying anything, you gently draw her nearer, perhaps by placing an arm around her shoulders or guiding her closer by the waist. There's no verbal cue, just a natural closing of distance. This reflects a concept from attachment theory known as proximity seeking, the instinct to reduce physical space between people who feel connected. By pulling her closer, you're communicating that you want her near, simply because her presence matters. For a mature woman, this can carry deep meaning. Many have experienced relationships where closeness felt conditional, something that had to be earned or only appeared when the other person wanted something. When the gesture comes without expectation or agenda, it challenges that narrative. It communicates that she's wanted for who she is, not for what she provides. That kind of reassurance can be powerful. A simple, wordless movement can create a sense of belonging and ease that goes beyond surface-level attraction. The seventh and final touch is the long-hold hug, and it stands out for its strong psychological and physical effects. This isn't a quick or casual embrace. It's a full, genuine hug, both arms, close contact, that lasts at least 20 seconds. That duration matters. Research has shown that hugs of this length increase oxytocin, the hormone linked to bonding, while lowering cortisol, the stress hormone. As a result, the body begins to relax, heart rate slows, blood pressure drops, and the nervous system shifts into a calmer, more open state. Because of these effects, therapists often recommend extended hugging as a way to rebuild emotional trust in struggling relationships. It's not just symbolic, it has measurable biological benefits. For a woman with life experience, someone who may have faced disappointment, loss, or long periods of self-reliance, this kind of embrace can be deeply impactful. It offers a moment where she doesn't have to stay guarded or hold everything together. A steady, unhurried hug communicates patience, presence, and care. It creates space for her to relax in a way she might not often allow herself. Ultimately, the power of these touches isn't in grand gestures or external factors like status or wealth. It comes down to awareness, intention, and genuine presence. Understanding these forms of touch is only part of the picture. A mature woman will often express her own feelings through subtle cues as well, signals that reveal how she feels, if you're attentive enough to notice them.